Fabulous breakthrough, isn't it? And very cute babies.
Very, very cute.
But we like them. Now, MEPs from our region signed in for the first time at the European Parliament in Strasbourg today, and they could be in for a stormy few years. The Tories are promising an in-out referendum if they win the next election. UKIP want us out now, and they're the largest party.
Well, UKIP celebrated the start of the new parliament by provoking the first row when they turned their backs on an orchestra playing the European anthem. From Strasbourg, Phil Hornby reports.
The first day of term, and what a time for it, with the future of the EU and the UK's role in it being seriously questioned. Here on the French-German border, MEPs from our region joined more than 700 from all across Europe. Today's the day every winner in May's European elections officially became an MEP for the next 5 years.
Well, I think it's going to be a very interesting time because the Conservatives are here to make sure that we ensure reform for the whole process of Europe, that we get powers back from Parliament and from Europe back to the member states. I think it's very important.
The biggest draw today were UKIP, who have the biggest group of British MEPs. 15 years ago, when their first MEPs headed to Strasbourg, they were the gang of 3.
You're not going to fall in love with the place and go native, are you?
I don't think so, no.
Today, they're a gang of 24.
It's good to be here representing the people who voted for me, but it's overwhelming to see the scale and the grandeur of all this, and it confirms a lot of the feelings of why I'm in UKIP and why I want to fight against this. It's not a good place to be.
This morning, as the European anthem played, UKIP turned their backs. They get the chance to enjoy one of France's most beautiful cities, but most of their time is spent in this extraordinary parliament, built around bridges to symbolise European unity. They don't come up with their own laws like Westminster MPs do. They can just approve or throw out laws that come from the unelected European Commission. They do have more powers now than they used to, but still not enough for some. Almost everyone agrees that this place is a bit of a nonsense. Every month the entire Parliament ups sticks from Brussels, MEPs, civil servants, translators, the whole lot of them, and they travel here. It costs a fortune, but for the French it's a matter of national pride to have some of the Parliament's business done on French soil. They get a salary of £78,000 a year. The expenses, allowances and pension arrangements are famously generous.
But the EU is under pressure to change as never before. Who knows, we could vote to leave in a referendum in a few years' time. These could be the last MEPs we ever send here. Phil Hornby, ITV News, Strasbourg.
Yeah, the First World War is remembered for its mud-filled trenches and huge loss of life. But when war broke out, the poet Rupert Brooke, who was born in Rugby in Warwickshire, was caught up in the optimism and the enthusiasm of the nation in the early days.
Yes, he wrote about the pride which came with self-sacrifice and even the excitement of leaving behind a safe and predictable life. Hannah Stokes reports.
Blow out, you bugles, over the rich dead.
If I should die, think only this of me, that there's some corner of a foreign field that is forever England.
Honour has come back as a king to earth.
Rupert Brooke saw the outbreak of the First World War as an adventure, a chance for change, and that signing up to fight was a noble self-sacrifice. He grew up here in Rugby and attended the town's prestigious public school where his father taught. He was once described as the most handsome young man in England.
Of home.
He thought war would bring purpose to his life and shake up society. Members of Rugby's poetry group are meeting to discuss how his poems go down today. They appreciate he doesn't give a full picture of the war, but think it's important to have a record of that early positivity.
I don't think he was foolish, I don't think he was blinkered. I think he reflected how a lot of people felt at the time.
My mother was second cousin to him, and I feel sort of quite proud to be associated rather distantly with a famous English poet.
They become a symbol of the tragic loss of talented youth.
They thought it was going to be over soon, and they were fighting for God and country, and the horror hadn't started yet.
Rupert Brooke died just a year into the conflict from an infected mosquito bite, never experiencing the horrors of trench warfare. He's buried in an olive grove on the Greek island of Skyros, but remembered here in Rugby amongst the family gravestones. Rugby School lost nearly 700 of the brightest young men in the country. Brooke was one of the best, a prize winner and founder of a school magazine.
The impression we get from Brooke is of idealism, of kind of youth, vigour, going out to sort of face the foe, and to sacrifice your life, possibly if you have to sacrifice your life in a larger cause. I mean, he felt that the First World War would, as lots of people felt, would be over quite quickly, and that somehow it would give society a new sort of sense of purpose.
9 months into the conflict, Brooke's poem "The Soldier" was read to the congregation at St Paul's Cathedral. It was also published in the Times. His youthful hope was being turned into propaganda. But looking back, we just get a sense of waste.
His life has become kind of emblematic or sort of symbol of the futility of war. Here was this really highly intelligent, very intensely alive young man whose life was, almost literally thrown away.
We'll never know what kind of poems Brooke would have written if he'd lived, but we're left with a sense of the hope war once brought. Hannah Stokes, ITV News.
Well, still ahead on the programme, why demand for pet snakes is slithering out of control.